Hey everybody, it's Casey here. It's your Fly and Tackle. Today we're going to tie a big pattern for big bull trout. I'm going to show you how to do the C.O.D. I've got an AquaTalon Salmon Steelhead hook in the jaws of the vise here. Now this is just going to be strictly for a shank, so if you want to use a cheaper hook that we're going to be sacrificing the hook point on this, then by all means go ahead. I'm going to use an owner no escape in a number 1 for my stinger hook, and I'm just going to use some 30-pound fire line to make that that trailer. I'm going to take the ends This is way easier to do when there's not a camera in between your body and what you're trying to do. But we're going to put that through the eye. And you always want to have an eye with a little bit of an upturned eye. So like this owner no escape, it's got a very slight bend at the eye. That'll work for this fly. Don't want to use a straight shank because a straight shank hook will sit funny. So if you've got like a straight eye owner or something like that, not as effective because it's going to sit really weird at the back of the fly. You can double up this 30-pound. If I was doing it for like Chinook or Steelhead or something like that, I would definitely double it up. For bull trout, you can get away with the single strand. So now that I've got that prepped, I'm going to take my tying thread, which is going to be UTC 140 in the color olive. Now, you can tie this fly in a whack of different colors, black and blue being a very effective one. You can play with pinks, pink and white, obviously olive and white, which we're going to do for today's video. But tans, all black. There's really no limit to the color combinations that you can tie this in. We're going to fix this down, and I'm going to poke the tag ends of that fire line, oops, I missed with that one, through the eye of the hook. Untwist it there. And I'm going to bring it back underneath just to make everything super secure. Sorry if I'm wiggling the camera here. Trim off those butts. And we're going to go to town with the tying thread to lock this all in place nice and securely. I'm going to put a fair amount of pressure on my tying thread when I'm fastening this down because we don't want that pulling free. Alright, now that I've got that nice and secure, for a little added insurance, I'm just going to take some Zap-A-Gap and we'll just glue that just for extra security purposes so that we don't, sorry, I bumped that really hard that time, so that we don't lose that stinger. We'll give that a few seconds to dry and then we'll keep tying. Alright, so now that this glue has set up, I'm just going to bring my thread back and we're going to start tying in the tail segment of this pattern. So for that, we're going to start out with some Hedron's Polar Flash in pearl. And we're going to select a clump of that, and we're going to tie that in right at the butt here. So I know that Andrew has told me in the past that he's tied this pattern up to like 9 inches long. He says that, he's caught fish on it. It wasn't the most effective variation. If you're in that sort of 5 to 6 inch range, that's kind of the money for this pattern. but you know, don't be afraid to play with a big fly for big fish. And we're basically going to repeat this process a couple of times here to make I'm going to use my bunny ears here, a wing on this pattern. Next, I'm going to take some Spey Stuff Rhea in the color white. Can't stand listening to my bobbin hitting that hook point. Not that it's going to damage this fly, because we're cutting that hook point off anyway. All right, and we're going to tie in a clump of white Rhea. And then we will follow that with light olive. And again, like I said, you can play with your colors in this. You don't have to do an olive and white variation. I know a lot of the bull trout flies that we do here are olive or white or a combination of. And I mean, there's a good reason for that. It's a very, very effective color combination. But there is more out there that exists than just olive and white flies for bullies. And then, so I got light olive, and I'm going to take just a little bit of just regular olive in this case, just because I feel good about adding some of that in here. And we'll trim those butts down. Next, sorry, bear with me, I'm getting over a cold and it's taken forever. Next, I'm going to take some UV Polar Chenille in UV Pearl. Tie that in nice and secure. And we'll palmer that in. We'll get just shy of the halfway point on the hook shank. And we'll tie that off and trim it. And then we're going to repeat the process with that wing that we did at the tail there. So we'll take that polar flash. Now I'm not trying to tie it so that the entire fly is that long. We'll stagger that wing. Follow it again with some white Rhea. Again with the light olive. And I'll top it with a little more of that dark. Or I shouldn't say dark olive, regular olive. Trim those butts. Lash everything down. Make sure it's all nice and secure so we got a nice durable fly. And again, we're going to tie in that UV Pearl polar flash. Got that in, and just like we've done throughout the fly, polar flash. White Rhea. Light olive. And a little bit of olive on top. And I just stuck that stinger hook in my pinky finger, so be careful. That's a real possibility when you're tying this style of fly. If you don't jam it into the meat on your hand at least once when you're tying this style of fly, I don't think you're trying hard enough. We'll secure that all down. All right, so we're gonna take a set of Aquafly's Intruder eyes. This is a 530 seconds in olive. Use whatever color you want. I just was kind of going with the theme here. I like the way that this looks. We'll figure 8 these eyes in place. And then to finish off that head and just hide that little bit of thread nastiness, not that you have to, but I just like the way that it looks. I'm just going to take a little bit of iced up in brown olive. I think it just gives you a cleaner end product, but the fish will 100% not be like, oh, hey, look at that big ugly thread head. I'm not going to eat this fly. No, not a chance. This is strictly for the fishermen. And we'll throw in a quick whip finish. And just to secure things, I'm going to put a little bit of crazy glue on the thread there. And we got to go quick, otherwise we'll glue our thread to our whip finish and we won't be able to finish the knot. But there you go. There you have one big, ugly, meaty bull trout fly. This thing with that wing orientated all along the top like that, it's going to swim and just look crazy alive in the water, and that's what makes this such an effective pattern. So like I said, tie that in a bunch of different colors, black and blue, pink and white, various shades of, olives, whites, browns, tans, natural sort of sculpin colors, and then let your imagination run wild. So I hope you guys like that one. Smash that like button for me, share it with your friends. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you like these videos that we're putting out there, and you want to see more of them. Like always, I'll have all the materials linked in the description below for this fly. They can all be purchased online, www.c-run.com, or else come by the shop, we'll get you all set up, and we'll talk bull trout flies. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you for the next one.